Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Golden Nugget. We're going to be spending some time this week in PowerPoint. I'm going to be giving you some tips about creating shapes and keeping it symmetrical and copying them and that kind of thing. So let's get started. So here we are in PowerPoint. I am just working with a regular blank template in PowerPoint. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into layout. This is on my home tab, and I'm just going to say blank. So that will get rid of these little placeholders. I don't really need them. If I wanted to have a title, I could say title only. That would give me some space down below to do some drawings and things. So that right there is a whole little lesson on your own, just dealing with the layouts. But we're not going to talk too much about that today. I'm just going to say blank. Now, shapes is one of the things that appear in a number of different spots in PowerPoint. Right there on my home tab, I have shapes. A lot of times people are thinking in their head, I want to insert a shape. I'm going to go into insert, and you can do that too. Shapes are there as well. So we'll even see those again in a minute. So I'm going to go into home, shapes, and we can see some recently used shapes. This might look different on yours, of course. And we can see basic shapes and arrows and some action buttons, which you can actually put actions behind them, like go to slide 1 for the home button, or go to the next slide or the last slide, or a hyperlink. Click here to go to www.knowitsooner.com or something. We're not going to look too much at those today. I'm going to just first start with a simple rectangle. So I'm just going to click on that rectangle, let go of my mouse. I didn't do any dragging or anything. And my arrow turns into a crosshair. Now watch what happens if I just click. I click. Does it give me a rectangle? Not really. It actually gave me a square. Now a square has 4 sides, each of equal length. So that is a true square. And that's great. What if I wanted that? That's exactly what I want, let's just say. But what if I wanted more of a rectangle? Or what if I wanted a smaller square or a bigger square? So now you see up here I have shape format. Look what's over on the left-hand side. More shapes. If I click the little more button here, it gives me that screen that we're used to. And recently used shapes is in there. So this time what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on rectangle again. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm actually not just going to click. That will give me a square. I'm going to click and drag, and I always go kind of down and to the right. If I go up, I could do that too, but it gets a little confused then because the top is actually the bottom and stuff. So I always sort of go down and to the right. And you can see here that depending on what I'm creating, I can just about create anything I want. What if I'm creating a stop sign, and this is the post for the stop sign? Or if I want to do the same thing, lying down. So if I do it that way, it lets me do whatever I want. If I did it that way, I'll try one more time, and I try to make it a square, like I want a big square. Is that it? No, I think it needs to be this way. Uh-oh. You can see what's happening. I'm kind of guessing at the coordinates. Like, that's pretty close, but I'm not sure that it's a perfect square. Here's a key that you can hold down. I'm going to go back one more time, grab my rectangle, and I'm going to click at the top. And before I click, I'm going to hold the shift key on my keyboard down, and I'm going to drag. And you can kind of tell that I'm moving my mouse all over the place, but you can see that it's not giving me a rectangle. It's totally giving me a square. Little square, big square. I'm a little bit restrained on where I can go, but that's because I'm holding down the shift key. So those are some good tips about how to create. Either just click and you get a square, click and drag, and you get whatever kind of rectangle you want. You can try doing it yourself, or you can hold the shift key down. Now, once that's created, you're going, I want that square a little bit bigger. So you can drag these things afterwards with the shift key, or you can just click and drag any part of it. I usually go to the corners because that will drag it bigger in all directions. Now, those tips that I just showed you about creating, they work for a lot of the different things as well. Let's take a star, for example. So I'm going to go back to my shapes. I'm going to go into stars and banners. Down at the bottom, I'm going to grab a 5-point star, my favorite star. I'm going to click just to select it, and I'm just going to click. Gives me a perfect star. If I go back to my star, click on it. If I click and drag down and to the right, you can see I can have a fat star or a skinny star or whatever. So it works really a lot like the other one. One more time, click, hold my shift key down, perfect star, whatever size you want. So those are some quick ways of creating things. Most of these things that are closed, like these block arrows and the happy face and circles and octagons and all of these things, most of them work that way. The odd one works different when it doesn't have a start and an end. So for example, the lines, if I wanted to connect those two squares, click on one of the lines, I'm going to go over and click and drag. And I'm trying to be straight. I'm trying to be straight. Uh-oh, am I straight? I don't know. What could I have held down? I'm going to delete that. Go back to my shapes. There it is. I could have held down the shift key. And notice that I'm going on these circles when I'm doing my creating of my lines. I'm going to the circle, I'm holding the shift key down, and look at this, I'm like all over the place with my mouse, and it's saying, I'll let you do it down there, but it's got to be a straight line down there. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to connect with this one. Now, the reason I was asking you to watch the little circles is because when they're green like that, it acts as a connector. And if I drag either of these around, the line goes with it. Isn't that amazing? So the line just wants to know which one of these dots to go with. There's only 4 on a square. How many do you think there would be on a star? Lots more. Let's see. I'm going to drag that down to the star. So the top, this guy, maybe way down here. Oh, I'm going to go to the top. So now if I drag the star, this one here continues with the top of the star. I can click on it, drag that green up to this one if I wanted, and now it connects using the top one. So sometimes you need to change it. Here's a keystroke for you. Click on a line, Control D, duplicates. How many of you would have done a copy and paste? That would have worked, but Control D, a little bit faster. And what I can do on this one is I can drag it a little bit too long. I can drag it and line it up with the circles on that star. That took a little bit longer because I had to make it smaller first. And the connection points on here are different than they are on the star. And then the last thing that I want to show you about shapes and just creating them, there's tons of stuff that we cover in our PowerPoint classes that deal with the colors and things like that. But this is probably my favorite tip when it comes to creating shapes is how do I put text in it? Lots of people know about this little guy way over here. It's the text box. If you go into Insert, text box, it's there too. That's really good for just clicking on it and saying, hey, I want some text down here. Wow. Okay, that's really good for that. How many of you would go in and drag it? Yay, I have words within my box. Well, that's kind of okay, but then what happens when you drag one of them? Right? You have to drag both of them or group them or whatever. So I'm going to show you a different way to do it. I'm going to just click on the box, and it could be a star or anything that's closed. So maybe not that line, but a box or rectangle, star, circle, whatever. This is so easy. You're going to not believe it. I'm going to click on it, and type. Look at that. Click, type. Isn't that amazing? So now when I move it, it's automatically a part of that object. So I would love for you to go back and create something in PowerPoint with those tips. Control D to duplicate. Hold the shift key down while you're creating it so that it's perfect. Perfect square, perfect circle, perfect star, whatever, perfect line, and click on it when you go to type. I'm excited for you to go and use PowerPoint if you didn't know those tips before. Thank you, everybody, and have fun with that, and we'll see you next time.